In this video I will take you through the Tesla annual stockholder event 2020. It was held on the 22nd of September 2020. The full length is 45 minutes. I've reduced this to a summary of about 8 minutes. The meeting was held on the Tesla parking lot, where everyone got their own designated Tesla. Let's start with the products. In the last year, Tesla achieved volume production for the Model Y, introduced the Megapack, and lowered the price of Solar Roof.
We also reached in the past year volume production of the Model Y, and this was the smoothest launch that we've ever had. So I think we're definitely getting better at new vehicle launches and building factories and scaling production. Yeah, we launched Megapack. It's a 3 megawatt hours all-in-one energy storage solution. We also introduced the lowest cost solar in the US. It's only $1.49 a watt, and we really just simplified the whole value chain. So reduced sales and advertising, got rid of a bunch of unnecessary costs, and really are just relying upon the fact that it's just the lowest cost, most efficient solar in the US, providing both retrofit and the solar glass roof, which I think is a really great product, a hard product to make work, but it will be a major product line in the future.
In the second quarter of 2020, Tesla produced about 75,000 Models 3 and Y and about 6,000 Model S and X. Compared to the previous results, this total of 82,000 cars might look a little disappointing, but this has all to do with Corona. If you take that into account, Tesla did really well. All car companies went down, while Tesla was the only one that grew over the last year.
While the rest of industry has gone down, Tesla has gone up. And I think we'll do really pretty well in 2020, probably somewhere between 30 to 40% growth.
On the 2nd of October, Tesla announced their Q3 production figures. They produced 128,000 Models 3 and Y and 16,000 Models S and X. It looks like Tesla has overcome Corona. If we look at the production on a yearly basis, we can see Tesla already did 329,000 cars this year. It's likely they will exceed the production of last year, but it's not very likely they will hit the 500,000 target they had for this year. If we look at the totals, then there are about 500,000 Models S and X and about 750,000 Models 3 and Y. This means that about 59% of all the Teslas is the Model 3 or Y. Let's look at some of the financials.
And we also got 4 consecutive quarters of GAAP profitability, which was very difficult. We also have consistent free cash flow generation. This is really important for growth. And a key element here is tightening up the time from when a car is ordered to when it is built and delivered. If you can do that inside the sort of your kind of payables timeline, then the faster you grow, the more cash you have. I mean, that's why it's extremely important to have a factory in each continent. Because if you don't at least have a factory in the continent, it is impossible to achieve this. That's also why it's important to have Giga Berlin complete, because then we'll have a factory in China, a factory in the US, and soon a second factory in the US in Austin, and a factory in Europe. So I think this is also maybe something that's not fully appreciated of just how important it is to have a factory at least on the continent or reasonably close to where the end customers is, so you can tighten that whole chain.
What Elon explains is very important for the rate of growth. Normally you would have to borrow money to pay for the materials and components that you need to build a car. Once you have completed the car, you will receive revenue and you can pay off the loan. So the longer it takes to deliver a car, the more money you need to borrow. Since the amount of money that you can borrow is limited, the growth is determined by the amount of money that you can borrow and the duration of delivering a car. If you increase the payables timeline, and if you can shorten the amount it takes to deliver the car to be shorter than the payables timeline, then you don't have to borrow money. Every car that is delivered in time will generate cash immediately, and by achieving this effectively, there's no limitation on the growth from a financial point of view. Now let's look at some of the achievements.
Huge kudos to the Tesla Shanghai team for being able to go from literally a dirt pile to volume production in 15 months. And I think something that's really quite noteworthy here is Tesla is the only foreign manufacturer to have a 100% owned factory in China. And we'll see the Shanghai factory continue to scale quite a bit from where it is right now. I think we really could expect that to be, over time, a factory that produces over 1 million vehicles a year. It's the hardest thing is scaling production, especially of a new technology. It's insanely difficult. Uh, Making a prototype is relatively easy. And if I think like what is the real achievement of Tesla in sort of car company terms, it's like it wasn't making sort of exciting prototypes. It was that Tesla was really the first company in about a century in the US, the first US company in the US to reach volume production and be sustainably profitable. Like the crazy thing is this has really not happened in 100 years. We also have safety at the core of our design. The Tesla cars are the safest cars ever designed. We have the lowest probability of injury of any cars ever tested by the US government, and that's just passive safety. When you add active safety into that, it's even better. It is actually the #1 design objective when we build a Tesla is safety. Autopilot functionality continues to improve. The US average for collisions is at roughly 2.1 per million miles. And with autopilot engaged, it's 0.3. And this will get even better. We're confident that over time we can get the probability of an accident, especially the probability of injury, to 10 times better than the industry average. Our factories are also becoming safer, and if you look at the sort of accidents per total vehicle made, it's dramatically better than in the past. And Tesla core competencies, we've got engineering, but also manufacturing. I think manufacturing is underappreciated in general. The difficulty of designing the machine that makes the machine is vastly harder than the machine itself. Making a Model 3 prototype is really quite trivial compared to designing the factory that makes it. Especially if it's new technology and you want to use new manufacturing methods, it's at least 10 to 100 times harder to do the factory than the prototype. With each factory, what we're trying to do is also improve the manufacturing technologies. The Model Y made in Berlin might look the same, but it actually is made in a much more efficient way. And then we'll have a factory in China, a factory in the US, and soon a second factory in the US in Austin, and a factory in Europe. Do well financially, you really need economies of scale, and you need ideally the best technology. And I think we've had the best technology for a while, but now we are also achieving economies of scale. I've always done this. I drive the bleeding edge alpha build of Autopilot, so I sort of have insight into what is going on. Previously, about a couple of years ago, we were kind of stuck in a local maximum, and so we had to do a fundamental rewrite of the entire Autopilot software stack and all of the labeling software as well. We're now labeling in 3D video. This is hugely different from previously where we were labeling essentially a bunch of single images from the 8 cameras. Now taking all cameras simultaneously and looking at how the images change over time and labeling that. I call it like 4D in the sense that it's 3 dimensions plus time. We'll hopefully release a private beta of the full self-driving version of Autopilot in, I think, a month or so. And then people will really understand just the magnitude of the change. It's profound. The fundamental good of Tesla, it's like if you look back in history and say what good did Tesla do, the good will be to by how many years did we accelerate sustainable energy? That's like the true metric of success.